Now we go to the next topic, that is the casting procedures. Definition: a procedure in which the wax pattern is converted to replicate into a dental alloy, introduced by William Taggart, and he described this as a lost wax technique. And the idea of the casting into a mold, he is the first to introduce the mold expansion compensation technique. Now, what are the steps in a casting? First is the wax pattern that is prepared. Then you go to your sprueing. Once the sprue is applied, the wax pattern is withdrawn. It is invested. After the investing, the burnout is carried out. After the burnout, it is the casting of the thing, and then we do all the finishing and polishing of the cast restoration. So what is an inlay wax? Which are the types of the inlay wax? What is the composition? And what are the properties of the inlay wax? Again, an important question. Please note, type 1 can be a medium wax or a soft wax. Medium wax is used for a direct technique and soft wax is used for indirect technique. Medium wax, when we say direct technique, it is the direct pattern which we take in the mouth, and when we refer to as an indirect technique is when we fabricate the wax pattern on the dies. So the composition of the inlay wax involves the paraffin wax, the carnauba wax, the candela, and the damar resin. So you can go through all the properties of that. You can again refer your anisotropes for this particular thing. The important properties: it should have good thermal conductivity, high coefficient of thermal expansion, expansion of 0.7% with an increase in temperature, and it should contract when cooled, and it should not undergo too much of thermal changes, and stresses are going to be there. Therefore, again, that should be minimal and should have a good elastic memory. So fabrication of the wax pattern could be either by a direct method or an indirect method. As I said, it is prepared in the mouth, the direct method. The advantage here will be that you can get the exact control of the contact and contours in the mouth itself. You can check the occlusal pattern. And when it is the indirect method is when you have additional features which you cannot replicate with the wax pattern in the mouth, then you opt for doing your indirect methods, for which you can use a type 2 inlay wax. Sprue. What is a sprue? It is defined as a channel which is created in the investment, which the metal enters the mold space created by the burnout pattern. So sprue formers are the materials that form the sprue, and it may be made of wax, metal, plastics, or resins. Now, here I want to give you a little insight. I think these are the questions which you will find which are asked. And these are questions which are also very popularly asked on your table side viva. So please be mindful about that. And what are the basic requirements of the sprue? It should allow the molten wax to escape into the mold, should allow the molten metal to flow into the mold, and the metal within it must remain molten slightly longer than the alloy that has filled the mold. Therefore, it provides a reservoir to compensate for the casting shrinkage. So what is the role of a reservoir here? Is it compensate for the casting shrinkage? And what is a sprue? And what is its requirement? It allows the escape of the molten wax and allows the flow of the molten wax into the mold. So these are the three reasons why we require to have a sprue. What are the important factors of this the sprue? Which one should consider? One is the sprue attachment. It should be attached to the thickest part of the wax pattern and at an angle of 45 degrees. A sprue diameter should be of the same size or as thickest as the wax pattern. It should not be too large, otherwise it leads to distortion, or it should not be too small, it will lead to premature solidification. So sprue attachment, sprue diameter, sprue length. Again, we should have the sprue length which should allow us to place 6 millimeter. It should be open from the upper end of the casting ring to allow the expansion of the gypsum bonded investment and for the escape of the gases. And it should be within 3 to 4 millimeter for the phosphate bonded investment. So we have two of them, that is the phosphate bonded and the gypsum bonded. So the gases need to be vented out from the investment. And a reservoir is again, as I said, to prevent the porosities. Now crucible former, what is that? Crucible former, again, it is a conical base in which the sprue is attached along with the wax pattern and it is invested. It is like a concave depression, as you can see here, and it can be either of a rubber, metal, or it can be of a and of different diameters and shapes. So casting ring and liner again is used. The types can be the metal rings, rubber rings, and the split rings. So the ring liner is allows the mold expansion. Therefore, it is lined within the rings which you are seeing. It allows for the mold expansion, reduces the heat loss, and it is easy to remove the investment after the casting is done. So these are the various reasons why we apply a liner. It could be of either asbestos liner, could be cellulose paper, fibrous ceramic aluminous silicate, or ceramic cellulose combination. Asbestos ring liner, not popularly used because of its potential hazardous properties. And we could also have the ringless casting system where it allows for maximum expansion of the investment, and it is suited for the casting of alloys that require greater mold expansion. So these are again what are our Viva questions. What are the different type of ring liners? What are the ringless casting system? Now let us go to the wax pattern. When it is prepared, it has to be first clean, and it should be invested as soon as possible. Within how long maximum you can afford to keep the wax pattern without investing? It is not more than 20 and 30 minutes before it is being invested. This is a very, very important diagram. So please make it a point to draw this diagram whenever there is a scope and a question that is asked on it, explaining the different parts of the mold. Now, investing procedure, as I said, gypsum bonded is indicated for investing your gold alloys on lace crowns. Phosphate bonded is for the base metal alloys, and the ethyl silicate bonded materials, we have it for your partial dentures and cast metal alloys. These are the various properties. They will have binders, modifiers, refractories. So you can refer the textbook again for these details. Investment procedure can be done by two methods. By either you applying, you can see in diagram 1, it is being applied with your brush, and or it could be by a vacuum technique, which is invested in a air-free environment. Next we carry out is the burnout or the wax elimination. Now it could be done by a low heat technique or a high heat thermal expansion technique. So it is advisable to, why do we do it is we want to flush out the wax and allow the metal to flow. So it could be a hygroscopic low heat technique or a high heat expansion technique. So gypsum bonded investment, you carry it out at a temperature of 500 to 700. Phosphate bonded, higher temperatures, that is between the range of 700 to 1040 degrees centigrade, and ethyl silicate bonded investment for ceramics is 1090 to 1180 degrees centigrade. So all of you should be aware of the range of the temperatures. In low heat, what are the temperature ranges, and in the high heat, what is the temperature? Gypsum bonded is for investing which type of alloys, phosphate bonded is for which type of alloys, and ethyl silicate. So now you got it, it is for gold, phosphate bonded is for your base metal alloys, and you have the silicate bonded for your ceramic restoration. So please be clear on that. Now the next question, how do you compensate for casting shrinkage? Because all the alloys invariably will shrink, therefore you have to make provision to compensate for that casting shrinkage. So how do you do it? The first is by the normal setting of the material, investment material itself, that is the linear expansion, and then it is your that compensates as one part of it, that is the setting reaction of the hygroscopic expansion that occurs between the investment material and the water that you mix, and then comes your the thermal techniques. So the hygroscopic expansion you can see is the compensation which occurs by immersing the investment in the water bath at 37 degrees. The warm water entering the investment mold from the top adds some of the expansion, and the thermal expansion at 500 degrees. So it causes 0.55 of expansion. So minimum and maximum setting expansion that can be compensated, it is around 1.2 to 2.5% respectively. Thermal expansion is when you are heating the mold or the investing mold. So it is slowly heated at a temperature of 650 to 7 degrees for 1 hour, and above 7 degrees gases like the sulfur dioxide and all get released. It contaminates the gold castings and makes them weak. Therefore, the gypsum bonded investment maximum expansion required is 0.5 degrees centigrade at temperature of 500 degrees centigrade should be attempted. The next step what we carry out after we carry out the burnout. The next thing is now to melt the alloy. So for which we are using the flame to melt the alloy. So a flame has 4 zones. You are all aware: the mixing zone, the combustion zone, the reducing zone, and the oxidizing zone. Now, which is the zone of the flame which you are going to use to melt the alloy? It is the reducing zone. So please remember that. Now the casting machines, 3 different type of casting machines. We have the centrifugal casting machine. We have the electrical casting machine where your can be used for your ceramic restoration, and we have an induction casting machine which is again used for your base metal alloys. The direct current arc melting machines are the other machines which are vacuum or press casting machines, which are used for titanium and titanium alloys under vacuum arc or heated argon pressure casting machines. These are all the different casting machines that are available. Quenching is, what is this quenching? Is a process of rapidly cooling the hot casting by dipping it into water. Okay. So for noble metal, one casting is done, the ring is removed and quenched in water, and the button, when you heat the alloy, it appears like a red mirror, and you can, it is an indication whether the alloy is cooled or not. You have your platinum based alloys and base metal alloys. They are not quenched in water. So we generally classically carry it out with your cast cooled alloys. Pickling. What is a pickling? Pickling is a method in which you try and remove the surface oxides which are present on the casting, and the surface, they appear very dark, and when you see the casting, it does not appear like a gold metal or anything else. It appears all blackish surface which you will see. So the best method to remove it is to use your solutions, which could be hydrochloric acid, sulfuric acid, or you could also use ultrasonic devices for this. Now you can also use your sand blasting, where you will use aluminum oxide, and you use around 50% sulfuric acid or hydrochloric acid for this pickling purpose, where the casting is dropped into the liquid. And after you finish with your pickling, it is clean, and then what you do is you are now going to remove the screw, which can be cut by using your carbide bars, or you can use stones and